we're ready here. We're going to start here. Okay, right. Well, welcome, everyone. All right, welcome to the final step, Pop-Up Productions. Before I get started, I want to introduce you to the people who do all the behind-the-scenes work. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Elena Yugas, the COO, Chief Operating Officer. Okay, and Advertising or Marketing Director.
Me too.
And the one who puts the face on the computer over here, ladies and gentlemen, we have Erica Stanton. So anytime you look us up on the computer and see all that fine work, yes, we did that. So I can't take credit for something I did not do. So I want to give them the credit because that's the people you don't see too often, okay? So welcome Michael Oden here. To introduce myself, I've been a probation officer for 15 years, okay? I've been working with drug and alcohol offenders. I've been working with women, okay? And women in their role in relationships, and men in their role in relationships. So what I wanted to do was give people some insight into the type of relationships you have, types you've been in, types you're in now, and types you may want to have in the future, or if a relationship is good for you. And maybe we'll tack on how do we attract the other type, the opposite sex, that have good intentions. How do you read between the lines? Because people do a lot of talking. People say some things until you go behind the scenes. You go, oh, okay, I didn't see that one coming. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. And also, I work with children. All right, and I've worked with abused women, okay? And actually I had a couple yesterday. And she was abused, and you could just see how she shut down. And what I needed to do and try to get her to understand was how to open up. Because and that takes a process, okay? But the relationship she was in was very interesting. She was abused, guess who she picked as her mate? Does that make sense? An abuser. Why? Familiarity. I know this, right? So this is what I did to her. I said, let me hold your hand. So I held her hand, and she started doing, okay, what does this mean to you? It's uncomfortable because there isn't anything going on. It's just two people holding each other's hand. So I asked her, if you and I went on a date, and we went to a movie, and we were very kind to each other, I was kind to you, how would you react? How would you, or what would you believe would happen eventually? All right? Would you be uncomfortable? Would you wonder when the other shoe was going to fall off? Would you be anticipating the worst? And I told her, listen, I don't like drama. So in my world, I don't do the drama. So if you were with me, there wouldn't be any drama. Therefore, you would probably create, wouldn't you? And she goes, yeah, that's right, I would create. Because I'm not used to this kindness. I'm not used to people, showing affection towards me. I'm not used to people saying wonderful things to me. Positive affirmation. I don't know what that's like. So what I'm going to do is sabotage the relationship to make it make sense to me. Okay? So when she got that, she said, wow, that's what I do. That's exactly what I do. I said, I need to get you to see why you do it. Where it comes from, so we can take that monster, shrink it, so it doesn't run your show. And in this case, what I want to do with you guys, and we're going to call you healthy individuals, maybe you can pick up some little nuances you didn't know you had. And maybe those nuances will give you some indication as to why you pick who you pick, or why don't you get along, or whatever the case may be. But hopefully it'll give you some tools in your box. So when you're out there, you're going to go, you can see the situation 5 steps before it hits you. That's what I want. Just a little more clarity on who you are, some of the behaviors you may have that you don't see, but now you see it. Oh, that's why I do that. Oh, when that person says that thing, that sets me off, because I remember someone said that to me back in the day. I get that. Okay? So what I decided to do is relationships. What are relationships? What do they mean? Well, here are some relationships right here. Types of relationships people have been in, are in, will be in. Okay? So I wanted to know, and by the way, this is, you can raise your hand and have a question or anything. This is back and forth, so don't be afraid. This is the HIPAA thing going on where whatever happens here stays. Okay, if you want to share something, please, you're more than welcome, okay? So I decided to write down some relationships, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a little bit of each one and get some clarity on how they work, who's in them, and here's my thing. Have you been in one of those? Do you identify with them? Okay? So then you can take it back home and go, I remember that time back in the day. What did you learn from it? Is it something you grew on? Are you taken to your present relationships? Or are you, here's one down here where we go, it's called an avoider. Are people, an avoider, then you're by yourself. Now people will look at that two ways. We'll talk about that when we get there, okay? But one of the relationships we'll talk about first is survival relationships. Survival, all right? What does that mean to people? You might want to give a show of hands. Survival, when you hear the word survival, tell me what you think it means. Survival relationship.
To live, to get by.
To get by?
Yeah.
With that individual? To get by. Meaning, I will latch on to you, and you will identify me, and without you, I do not exist. Anybody friends in that one? Any relatives in that one? Anybody? Something to think about. Now, you guys remember the movie with Tom Cruise? What's it called? It's called, he's the sports guy. He's the sales, Jerry Maguire. Here is the worst line that they said in the movie. You complete me. What does that mean? The girl says that to him, you know, and then we get all mushy, but what does that really mean? You complete me. What does that tell you? You complete me. Man, if you ain't whole, right, then that means you're missing and you're latching on over here because guess what, without you, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go, so I need you, okay? There's one thing I'm going to share, it's called the almond. In a relationship, you got another form of relationship. You have this kind, you complete me, or I will dominate you, right? They work in tandem. Or you have the almond. Part of me will be in the relationship, right? But the other part is my identity. And that's the kind you really want, okay? So this kind is survival. This is where you get domestic abuse, psychological abuse, emotional abuse, all the ugly stuff you can imagine. This is survival. I need you without you. And also, I don't know how to be in that healthy one, so I take this one. This is the one also where you've seen so much violence, like the couple I had yesterday, that's what I know. I don't know how to live without that. Your existence is only with you. And if you leave me, guess what's going to happen? You see the story of the news of the young lady, Ilya Arias? She killed her boyfriend. She drove from Northern California all the way to Arizona, Mesa, because he broke up with her, and he stabbed her 29 times, right? Without you, I don't exist. So if I can't have you, no one will. Okay, that's great. It was. It's crazy. And, you know, due to psychological issues, which I can't go into, but to her, it's a walk in the park. All right? Survival. Another relationship. Validation. A validation relationship. Think about it. Validation relationship. If I'm in a relationship, validation is the key. How do you become part of a validation relationship? What does that mean? You can guess. There's no right or wrong. To validate.
So we can make it work.
Yes. Two most popular forms of validation are sex and money. Right? Young kids are about validation. You wear certain clothes. Do you like me? You're in the in-group. You validate me. You validate me. You acknowledge me. Here I am. And it's like a drug, right? I keep feeding it. Guess what? What happens when that's going to run out? Then what do you have in common? Oh boy. Now what? And as you get older, it's like, okay, we got to pay bills. We have to do other things. If I run out of gas. So this one has to do with sex, money, socialization, right? Intellect. I could marry or get attached to someone who will validate my intelligence. And they keep validating, and then one day it's like, there's got to be more to it than that. Which is why these fizzle to a degree. All right? Any questions on validation? Anybody been in one of those? I know some of you are very smart people. You been in that one? What happened?
You stressed me out because I didn't want to hear any more about what you had to say. That was smart.
That you were smart whole life.
No.
how did he validate it? Did you validate him or he validate you?
I think we validated each other.
Okay. And what did that look like?
We worked well together, I think, but at the end of the day, I really didn't want to hear any more about PhD stuff, dissertation.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm like, yeah.
What did you want to hear about?
I was looking more, well, it was more to it than that.
Yeah, okay.
But that was just a little piece.
Right. And you want connections?
Yeah.
How's your day? You know,
Yeah.
that kind of little more intimacy with regards to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
The human being, not the person who does this thing over here.
Right.
That's what you do. That's not who you are. But some people are tied into what? The title? Look what I got? Bam. Right? Yeah. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Next one, scripted relationships. Scripted. Scripted relationships talk about relationships that are meant to happen because that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay? This usually happens around high school and college. Johnny meets Joey because they're the perfect relationship. For an example, we'll go cheerleader, quarterback. Oh, they get along so well. And then they stay together. All right? And that's what, then they have a family, and then they go together. What happens with this one is they're doing it because this was what they say you're supposed to do, but what is it that you want to do? That's part of you to be in this relationship. That means you may miss out on certain things that you choose to do. That means your identity, your needs, social emotional needs may not be met, the things you desire to do, and now but everybody sees this beautiful relationship. But guess what? Behind the scenes, what do you got? A lot of unmet needs. Everybody's really unhappy. I had a guy on, one of my clients, multi-millionaire guy, sold Amway stuff. On the outside, everybody thought it was the most picture-perfect family. Okay? When I got him behind the scenes and we had our sessions, he would beat the mother, the sister, and the son. Verbal abuse, psychological abuse, pound, done, right? And I got my client to see I got him to see how that affected him and why he used meth for 25 years, among other things. But I also got him to see that what his father wanted him to portray. Because what happens is when you live that type of life on the outside, everybody sees it, it's wonderful. So guess where they get their injection of validation from? The outside world. Right? Look at me, here I am, I look good, don't I? Isn't that great, public? Wonderful. And we go behind the scenes, close the door, hey, listen here, you such and such. And all the verbal, and it's like, So that's what this one has to do with, okay? And then what happened, you can also get in competition. Where if the husband starts doing a certain job, right? Then the wife is doing her thing, now they're really separate. Now there's no connection there. And now there could be constantly competing. Then who's watching the kids, who's doing this, and they grow apart. Okay? Because they just got this robotic relationship doing things, but not connecting. All right? And the fourth one, acceptance. Now, these are the nice ones. These are a little healthier, acceptance. In other words, I accept you for what you do, or what you don't do. Okay? Remember, I was playing tennis with this young lady, all right? And we just wanted to play. And all of a sudden, I don't know if she was any good, but I'm all right. We'll just play. I just hit the ball back. I'm not going to be Arthur Ashe and start winging a man. I'm just going to hit back and forth, get a little sun. All right. Boom. All right, we'll try that again. Okay? Boom. I got another ball. You want to try something else? Respecting may not be your game. It just may not. Not going to beat her up for it. Try something else. Everybody's happy. That makes sense? I'm accepting it. Or, they know I don't like shopping. You going to drag me in there? Once in a while, maybe. Not too often. I'll play, right? Okay. But will you allow me to play a little golf? I love that. Sure, go play. You do that, say, hey, you know, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to do? Is that what you want to do? All right. I'll see you when you get back. And that, what happens there is, when everybody has their own identity, they have their own motives to do things that pleasure them, because there's a thing people we have a hard time with. We can't meet 100% of our partner's needs. We can't. It's just like, wow, there's no way. If you can understand, you go, wow, well, what can I meet? And other people in the circle who can, which is okay. Now, we don't want to think of the dark side where, oh my God, there's that girl making me my husband's need. How about the book club? Maybe we got to think about this. You know, those things may pop up. Okay, that's when we got to, you know, that's when the closest of the relationship will work itself out, and hopefully those things don't, you know, explode in front of you. Okay, so this is acceptance, individuation, and assertion. This is where people do allow each other to grow. They allow each other to grow up. They find that there's a weakness or something they want to do. They're supportive, or they're growing together. They know their weaknesses. Hey, you're not really good in this area. Maybe you and I can work on this so you can become better at it. Okay, there's that kind of relationship. These two are really life-serving. These are the kind where the two individuals grow together. They mature together. There's not a lot of drama. There isn't the put-downs or the verbal abuse or anything like that. It's really supportive, and these are the really nice ones. Okay? So here's my question for these. Why do we, or how do individuals actually get in those relationships? How do they end up in one? Anybody have any ideas? How do individuals end up in a survival relationship, in a validation relationship, scripted acceptance, you know, an individuation, assertion relationship? Now, if I were to go behind you guys and you're seeing behind you and look back and I go, oh my God, there's their stuff. Good stuff? Ooh, that's good. Good. Ah, okay. All right. Then I go like this. Caretakers. What did they say or do? Okay. When I talked to that couple the other day, I go, what did you see when you were little? Well, no, what did you see? Tell me what you saw in the house. I need to know. Well, there was a lot of violence. Describe it. Oh, I always saw Mom yelling at Dad and Dad yelling at Mom. Then once in a while I would see, you know, physical violence. Okay, there's one. Or I would see alcohol. My mom would always run for drinking alcohol. Then she'd just change, and then she'd come after me. It's okay. So there was a lot of unpredictability. Yeah. Not a lot of emotional safety. No. Okay, so that's what you saw. Okay. So now you take that wiring, years pass, now you're 12, 15, 18. Right? Here's what we know. Oh, we know how to survive. They're surviving in their own home. If they're surviving in their own home, then what are they going to do in the real world? Right? If they didn't get validated at home, then where are they going to find validation? I had a woman today. We talked about her life. Her mother dropped her off at 5 years of age. From 5 to 10, her mother wasn't there, so she passed him off to the relatives. Relatives passed her on. And then during that 5-year span, she wasn't molested twice. Okay? She was always told that she'll never amount to anything. She was always told that you'll never be anything and that you're less than, etc. Or all the negative things you can think of. On top of that, now you're molested by 2 guys. Okay? Now she goes with her mother on the road with the singing group guy. She forgets to tell me her mother was drinking. And then her mother told her the same thing. So I had to get her to see that your mother came from that world and that that's what you had an experience. Now she took you and she did the same thing that happened over here. Okay? So, you don't know what it's like to... So she became promiscuous, she said. Yeah? And then she was beating herself up for being promiscuous. Don't beat yourself up, understand why that was important. What did each person represent that you had on top of you or between your legs? Think about it. What did they represent? I thought they would love me. Where did you not get love? Here are the tears. As she goes. I'm a mom. Yeah. So where'd you try to find it? Other people. Exactly. Let me ask you a personal question. Is sex torture to you? It being sexual torture. She starts fidgeting. Yeah, I get tense, and if I have sex, I become really angry before I do. So, where do you think that comes from? Okay, so what I was doing is waking her up. I see where all the pain, suffering comes through, and why these two were probably predominant relationships. Okay, I saw this in college. Joey and Susie are supposed to do this. And sometimes it can work out. I'm not saying it can't. But, it's very scripted. I watch it. They meet in college, they marry, have 2 kids, everybody's got great jobs, and life is good. Yeah. Okay? If you meet their needs on the journey and don't try to compete, that one will work out. Okay? Acceptance. Guess what? If you have a lot of your needs not met as a child, on either side, girl or boy, and you meet somebody who, let's say your partner's successful, right? And they're doing really well. Do you have a chance of accepting them for being successful? Do you get a little envious? Do you get a little, I want to do that? Okay? That's if your partner is missing their component of their identity and the things they wanted to accomplish. Okay? Because sometimes, guess what? We can pick somebody, I like that guy because he's very successful, and I want to be like that. That's where we latch on to validation a little bit. Right? He says, oh, I want that. Then all of a sudden, they're doing it. I'm not, let's say. Then I may have some resentment because, well, he's still doing great. Why haven't I done anything? And we start maybe sabotaging. Maybe start little jabs here and there, or having what's known as an adult tantrum. So now they're going to focus on you and take away from them. Oh, so now you're luring them in, having an adult tantrum, taking away from what he's good at or what that person is doing, and now the focus is off this, and the relationship starts to, teeter a little bit. Okay. Now here's some relationships that are interesting that I've been in. Right. Now that I've seen this, I said, yeah, I looked at some of my friends have been in, my sister's been in. Healing. A healing relationship. Not right or wrong, good or bad. When does a person get in a healing relationship? Think about that. When does a person get in a healing relationship? What has to happen? A little bit. Abuse, yeah, maybe be abused. But if you do, you have to know that this is why you're in it. You gotta know why you're in this relationship. Usually people who are in a healing relationship, they've just gotten broken up with a relationship. So they need something of comfort, right? They've lost a family member. They've lost a friend, right? So there's loss here, okay? So what they're needing in this relationship is just some comfort from somebody for maybe a certain period of time, okay? These relationships can last from like 2 months to 2 years, depending on what is needed at the time, okay? There was a story that I read where, and it's funny, it says, white woman says, I had a relationship with a black man for 2 years. We got along really well. We shared some moments. We had really good time. But after a while, the thing that bugged us the most started showing itself, so it ran its course, so we ended it. And I did sell him my bed to his new wife. Okay? Oh, she doesn't know that. A lot of people listening in these situations. Okay? So this is a healing. Next one, experimental. Now, you guys were young back in the day. Do we experiment with a certain type of individual? All right? The kind who's probably opposite of what you're used to dating. Let's try that one. Okay? In my world, I went to an all-white college. Well, there are a lot of white girls. They wanted to experiment and see what that chocolate side of the world, what they did. I swear, I was like, wow. Because it may never happen again. Because they sure ain't bringing you home to mom. Ain't no joke, right? It's true. So that was an experiment. After a while, you go, okay, well, that's it, huh? And did you experiment with somebody? How about people who do thug loving? Yeah, you come from the prissy little world, all of a sudden, what are those gangsters? I'm gonna try that. You know, so they're like, okay. Or you can, you know, there's so many ways you can go about this. You can date the person who reminds you of your parent, or the one who doesn't. Let me try something different. If I grew up a caretaker, and I'm used to caretaking my man, no, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna find somebody who'll take care of me. See what that's like. Well, I like it. And what that teaches you is how to behave in that situation, and then you may like it, what adjustments you need to make, and maybe the other person can make some adjustments too, if they're on the same page and you communicate that. Okay? That's kind of interesting. Then we have transitional. The transitional. That one is where a life-changing event. And you're transitioning from like maybe divorce into a whole different world over here. You've been with a person for 25 years, and now we're doing these nice little slow movements into something different, right? To transition. And to be honest, I'm going to get a little on this one, transitional. Hang on, cheat sheet. Lateral, let's see. Experimental. Yeah, old and new, between patterns that drove you crazy and others that were changing. Okay, so what happens is if you've behaved a certain way for a long period of time, the old way of doing stuff, you're gonna try a different way of doing that same thing. You'll get the same information from your partner, but you're gonna handle it differently. Okay? So that's one way to awaken yourself to go, okay, I used to handle it this way, I'm gonna try this one and see what happens. And then we have the avoidance. Okay? They don't, how can I put this? They avoid relationships because it's too emotionally severe, too emotionally fragile. They don't want to get their feelings hurt. They don't want to go deep into who they are. They don't want to open up and be vulnerable. It's too much. I cannot take it. So I'll avoid having a relationship. Okay? And if you're in that kind of relationship, and the other person's trying to get closer, you keep backing up. Well, what eventually is going to happen is that person, we don't want to get close, then what's the point? Okay? But also in this avoidance one too, there's some positives. Some people like being alone. They do. They have enough friends. They don't have to be validated by having a relationship. They can have friends and do things with them. So they're okay. Okay? Or they can be by themselves because guess what? They're figuring themselves out. Right? They're figuring it out. I need to be by myself for a minute. Let me just wait. Let me wait about 6 months, whatever it is, until I'm ready. So they can. That's avoidance. That's temporary avoidance. Okay. So they take their time, figure it out. Say, I've done this before. I want to make some changes. I will wait. All right. So there's some positives on this one too. So just because you're hurt doesn't mean just because you're hurt. That's one way to avoid. You can also avoid just because you need time to yourself. 2. It's okay that you don't need to be in a or have a relationship to define yourself. Okay, which is all right. Some people go, you ain't married yet? So, I like this. What do you mean like this? You don't have any kids, and you're a certain age, right? You get that pressure. Woo! Whoa! Yeah, huh? I mean, wow, you know, it's like we have to do this thing. Well, guess what? Sometimes life does this, and there's a paradigm shift when you're going this way, and stuff happens. You're married to your guy, all of a sudden, poof, he got sick and died or something. Tragic thing happened, he's not there. So now you take some time to heal. But you didn't have any kids at the time. Well, you haven't found the right guy yet. And maybe X amount of years have passed by. Right? Passed by, nothing's happened. Everybody's looking at you. Well, what you gonna do? You're gonna be some man, just get pregnant, why not? Whoa, hold on here. Now we're getting desperate. Right? All these things will pop up. Society will put so much pressure on what you need to do. You're going, woo! But they don't know, they're not in the ring. Anybody can make the call over here. Maybe sure turn to the right a little bit. No, thank you. That guy looks good, what about him? No, it looks good. Until you guys get to know him in the ring. And I'm like, oh man, we can't. Boy, I'm glad I caught this one. You know? And as they said, what are they bringing to the table? That's a big one. Talk about that later. All right? And the last one, pastime relationships. These are relationships for fun. These are relationships where there's nothing at stake per se. It's like a summer love. You meet them in Europe and you see them for a month and all the passion, desire, and the fire and all that happens. And we gotta go. Gotta go back to the Americans. Gotta go back home. You know, it's a short passion, you know, it's that experience, and you can take it with you. There's nothing, shall we say, I don't think it's detrimental or there isn't anything negative about this. It's just that moment. It's just a short period of time where you know it's a short period of time. I know it is. You know, we can't be together too long because it's just not in the cards. A timely thing. Okay? So this kind of gives you an idea of some of the relationships that are out there, some of them that you may have been in, may have experienced. Okay? Hopefully that will get you in tune to which we have done and some of the things that you may want to shift as you guys go through your world, your social world and dating world. Okay? Are there any questions? Okay? All right, good. Thanks for listening. All right? And cut. All right, so here's